Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for attending the Region 1 Director-Elect Candidate Night. And it's my pleasure to introduce the two candidates, both Bala Prasanna and Ali Abedi, for the Region 1 Director-Elect. I'd like to remind everyone that the election is now open. So after you listen to the presentations tonight, I'll appreciate it if you quickly go to the IEEE website and cast your vote, because that is what it's all about. And so tonight is an opportunity for the region to get a better appreciation for what Region 1 directors go through and an ability to learn more about the candidates for the upcoming director-elect position, which will replace myself. I guess I didn't introduce myself. I always fail to do that. My name is Craig Godowski, the Region 1 Director-elect, soon to be Director, I guess, in January. So this is how tonight will play out. Each candidate will have 15 minutes to give a short presentation. The order of the presentations is completely randomized and is not in any preferential order for any of the candidates. Each candidate will have 15 minutes to introduce themselves, to talk a little bit about what they hope to do as the Region 1 Director. And after their 15-minute period for each of them, then we'll have a short question and answer period that follows both presentations, and we'll have an open discussion with each of the candidates. So without further ado, I am going to allow Bala to go first. And Bala, if you could go ahead and share your presentation. I will make that do the timekeeping, and I will mute everyone if they're not muted on my side. And let's say at the 10-minute mark, I will give a wave. Hi, Ed. Nice, Ed Palacio, Director, Region 1 Director. Thank you, Ed. We just went through introductions and went through the rules or the proceeding of the event. So I'm going to allow to take over the screen. Roll.
Okay, give me just 1 second because I lost my PowerPoint deck. I'll pull it up.
Oh, well, tick tock, no, sure. Whenever you're ready, we'll get going.
One second. I should not.
Greg, are you recording?
Yes, I am recording. Thank you, Ed, for reminding me. I do frequently forget to hit the record button. So, and I will, after this meeting is over, I will convert it to an MP4 file that will be put on the YouTube channel for Region 1, and an email will be sent out via VTube to all the members, notifying them that the recording of tonight is available on YouTube. So Bala, are you ready?
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. It's 7:36.
1 second. Where is the share button here?
We had this up just a second ago.
Right, yeah.
Share button should be at the bottom.
Oh, he knows. He just had it up. We were practicing.
Share button is a one-time use. You use it once, it goes away.
Is it better?
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself. You're up, Bala. I'll pull you down in 15 minutes.
Is it coming up?
You're on.
Is it up?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you can see it.
I can see it. Is it good?
We are
Yes,
good.
it
You're
is.
good to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Good evening, and welcome to the IEEE Candidate Night. By being here, you are an influential part of the IEEE membership that will, to use calculus terminology, help to derive, help to integrate, and help to create new equations for a newer tomorrow's Region 1 by your participation and voting. I'm pleased to be standing next to my friend of many years, fellow candidate, Professor Abedi. I have appreciated and am thankful for the several IEEE activities we have done together to serve IEEE members. Those are my cherished associations and fond memories. Regarding myself, my education consists of having graduate degrees, both from India and from United States in Illinois. My corporate experience as an engineering manager includes being a principal member of technical staff at the cherished, legendary AT&T Bell Labs during the time of revolution of programming languages like C, C++, Unix, and so on. As a manager and an executive, I was responsible for software development, delivery, managing critical issues, supporting and maintaining mission-critical systems while at AT&T and IBM. I also had roles of being a project manager, program manager, a delivery executive, while at IBM and serving clients like Express Scripts and Verizon. I also had teaching experience coming in two forms. As an assistant professor, teaching computer science, this was my first job at State University of New York in upstate Oswego. That's where I came from. I also had the honor and privilege of being a visiting professor at Morgan State University. This is a predominantly or a historically Black college. They were opening up a new engineering program, and they needed some industry help, and we raised our hand. And that program lasted about 15 years, from about 1990 through 2005. And I was an angel throughout that program. I had an opportunity to understand the struggles, the aspirations, the challenges, and so on of people from backgrounds that were different from me. Many of these guys, went on to graduate, get their graduate degrees, get PhD degrees, get hired by AT&T, HP, and so on. It was very gratifying. I also have publications on software reliability methodology and a book chapter on career management and professional skills. So if you step back and look at it, so during my years industry experience, I developed my own personal management system whose elements included relationship management to be resourceful, constant and continuous training to be relevant, creating a track record, staying disciplined under all weather conditions. So my engineering management experience, I had large teams that I had to work with, manage and develop and deliver multi-million-dollar budgets, support mission-critical projects, and also have extensive experience in customer relations and specifically incident management. That was a lot of fun, managing incidents. Most of you guys know me as the guy who writes checks. in order to make reimbursements for your IEEE expenses. You also know me as the guy who spams your mailboxes with asks for audits or participate in training or your NetSuite updates and whatnot. But beyond being a Region 1 treasurer, I also have several volunteer roles in IEEE. So some of them are being IEEE USA Secretary and Treasurer. This is a larger playground, larger than Region 1, with its own challenges and opportunities. So that was a good playground for me to learn a lot. I also was a member of IEEE Finance Committee, where we talk about corporate finance items, annual budgets, which is about $500 million, creating new projects or canning projects, all these fun discussions. I also is a member of IEEE Membership Benefits Committee, which scouts for opportunities to find new benefits for IEEE members and make recommendations to IEEE board. I also have grassroots volunteer experience, both at a chapter level and at section level. And here is a shout out to my favorite Jersey Coast section. I'm still an active section volunteer. I also have been IEEE USA national speaker since 2005. I have completed about in excess of 100 presentations at schools in Region 1 area, in US, in Australia, India, Pakistan, Puerto Rico, some of those places. SPAC representatives and so on. These opportunities have allowed me to work in different playgrounds, develop different abilities, contribute, and so on. So I have made presentations to IEEE boards, been a member of strategic and ad hoc committee members. I have led a region and its sections in making sure we have compliance requirements are met and we get our assessment and bonus and whatnot. I also have participated in a Congressional Visitor Day, going up to the Hill, talking to members of Congress or their staff. I have strived to develop strong working relationship with the IEEE staff. I have nurtured personal relationships with movers and shakers in peer IEEE regions. So with all these things, if you bundle me up, you'll find that I have strived to be relevant, resourceful, respectful, and resilient. That's who I am. Moving on. If I am lucky, if I have the honor of serving you as Region 1 Director, I see the role of youth and women in tomorrow's IEEE at the region level, at the section level, at all different levels. So I would strive as Region Director to encourage recruitment of youth, young professionals, and women for Region 1 leadership roles. I would also strive to increase accessibility of free, when possible, or affordable technical content to membership. We have learned a lot during these COVID pandemic times. Promoting partnerships for conferences. So we need to be able to create revenue streams and pay for our own internal programs at the section level or at the region level. So I would strive to focus on this one, so create new partnerships and stakes for conferences for revenue generation purposes. If how I have worked as a volunteer since the longest time, at least since about 2000, you have seen my focus on transparency, efficiency, and collaboration. I would continue to strive to provide the same elements as Region Director in all its activities. Being a Region Director is very important, and you have a say at the table when you go to the board meetings, whether it is IEEE USA or the global IEEE. So I would strive to enhance Region 1 as a source of valuable and pragmatic input to IEEE USA and the global IEEE. I would also encourage fiscal prudence because having worked as a treasurer for so long, I pretty much know the ins and outs. And I also have watched all our capable directors and past directors in the past years practice fiscal prudence. So I would go along the same lines, supporting and greenlighting worthy projects. So if you step back and roll me up, wrap me up, you would notice that my IEEE volunteer efforts have demonstrated my resiliency, my relevance, my capabilities as a consensus builder, and my abilities at handling senior level leadership positions. Again, if you look at my corporate experience and my IEEE experience, I am battle hardened, having responded to many crises or many incidents and so on and so forth. And I am prepared for the challenges that may lie ahead for IEEE and our region. Again, to round up, my thoughts and actions are anchored along these principles. These are very important to me, and I would hope you will also find them important. So I would just take a moment going through them. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. Life consists not in holding cards, but playing those you hold well. That's important. This time, like all times, is a very good one if we know what to do with it. What we have done in the last about 18 months responding to COVID and its challenges is very important. So we need to keep the same trajectory, we need to keep the same mindset, and that is how we can respond in all times of challenge and opportunities and so on. Our problems are many, but our capacity to solve them is limitless. It's very important. It's very easy to get bogged down with the problems, daily problems, the crises, and so on. But also we need to constantly remind ourselves that our capacity through various means is limitless. We can do it. Again, being a region director, looking at IEEE programs and IEEE USA programs, sometimes things do not happen in a cinch. It takes months, sometimes it takes years too. So change is gradual. You should aim for progress, not perfection. So that's one of the things I constantly keep myself in mind. Finally, thank you for your time and thank you for your vote. Thank you. Greg, back to you.
Perfectly timed. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next candidate first, and then we'll come back for questions for the both of you. Okay. All right, so if you could unshare your presentation, next up will be Abedi from the main section. Do you have a oh, there you go. Perfect. Okay, so it's 7:51. You'll have 15 minutes, and your time starts now.
So can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. And you can see the slides, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to the region. It's a great honor for me to be nominated for this position. Right now, I'm serving as the Region 1 Northeast Area Chair, which you see as highlighted in red in this view graph. But my hope is to expand the area that I serve and basically serve the entire Region 1. So thank you for the opportunity to compete with this. And it's a great honor to be nominated alongside my fellow IEEE member here, Mr. Bala Prasanna, which, as he also mentioned, we have worked together for a long time. So I'm going to get right into the presentation now. I don't want to spend too much time on my resume, but I just figured I create a different way of presenting my background. So I call this a biograph. So I put where I'm coming from. I'm originally from Iran, so that, I was teaching at Air Force University for a couple of years. I also worked at Telecom Consultant, TEC, and Informatics Services Corporation. These are my first. Then after a couple of years being in industry, I got bored, so I decided to do PhD. So I moved to Canada, did my PhD in electrical and computer engineering at University of Waterloo, and then did a postdoc at Queen's University. And after that, I moved to Maine. So I'm from Maine section right now. I have been in Maine for almost over 16 years now. So I went up the academic ladder at the University of Maine Electrical and Computer Engineering Department through the assistant professor, associate professor, and full professor. And I've been director of multiple centers. And my current job is associate vice president for research. I've been very fortunate to work with very good students through this 16 years that I had at University of Maine. Some of my students are actually now tenured professors at other academic institutions like Clemson State and Northern Arizona University, etc. So that makes me proud of my students. During this time, I also made some visits during my sabbatical to University of Maryland, NIST, and also I had a project that I was going to send a payload to space. I had to spend the summer at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center in the South. So that's kind of my background in IEEE. IEEE, as you know, is an organization which has two different legs, right? There is a geographical activities, or MGA, and there's technical activities, which covers the societies and chapters. Geographical activities covers region and section. So I use this model here to show that my activities has actually been covering both legs of IEEE. So going to the left side, the MGA region and section, I started in main section as secretary, and then I moved up, did vice chair and chair back in 2008. And right now I'm also Eta Kappa Hanu faculty advisor in the state of Maine for University of Maine. I have also been very fortunate to work at the Region 1 since 2008 when I was part of the Board of Governors. I have served as chapters coordinator, I served as PACE chair, and also more recently as Northeast area chair. And I have also been heavily involved with the student conference and paper contest for many years. I also had a little bit of MGA activity, so I was fortunate to be able to work at a Geo Unit Operations Committee for a couple of years, Center for Leadership Excellence, or CLE, where we created training. I was part of the pilot program that created the Volunteer Leadership Training Program, or a VOLT program, which is going on right now, and also helped with the Member Benefits Committee, and also served on the Ad Hoc Conferences Committee. On the TAP side, or Technical Activities side, I worked at the main section to get the Communication and Computer Society chapter started. I also worked as chapter chair, vice chair, treasurer, webmaster, whatever position that we couldn't fill out, I tried to step in and help out. Right now, I'm also IEEE Council on RFID Committee Chair, and also I served for a couple of years in IEEE Communication Society North American Region Board. In terms of conferences, I've been heavily involved with so many different conferences you see here on the screen. I have served as publication chair for GlobeCom and WCNC, some of the largest conferences we have in IEEE, and as technical program chair for several other conferences. But what I would like to highlight here is the conference that I created with some of my colleagues here in Region 1 and some in Region 7, IEEE International Conference on Wireless for Space and Extreme Environment, back in 2013 in Baltimore. And in the past decade, we have been able to grow this conference to started from roughly less than 40 to 50 people to 250 people recently, and also going all over the world, moving it from different space agencies and aerospace companies to one another. So that's one of the interesting things that I've done, and I'm very excited about continuing this. In terms of journals, I've been associate editor of multiple journals, IEEE RFID journals, IEEE Journal of Communication and Network, Sensors journals, guest editor, and also some special issues on cognitive networking. So that's on the right-hand side or the tab side. Accomplishments, I kind of mentioned a little bit about founding a chapter in Maine, the Maine Com and chapter. And I have tried to build succession so that I can recruit new volunteers to take the lead. So I won't be like a lifetime chair of this chapter. And I have succeeded in that. I had very good colleagues to step up and become the chair of this chapter and continue. Last year, we ran a fall AI series, primarily sponsored by this chapter. And we attracted over 1,200 registrations for our series, which included 4 different sessions, roughly 300 per session. And I'm excited to mention that tomorrow, actually, we have our 2021 fall series getting started with our AI and cybersecurity event tomorrow at noon, which we already have, as of today, 309 registrations. So I'm very excited to continue this series. I mentioned about founding the IEEE YZ conference, which have not only grow in terms of names and numbers, but also grow in terms of space agencies. And we have always created a large amount of surplus for the sponsors, Region 1, Region 7, and whoever is the local host. One other very interesting experience I had in Region 1 in 2010 was to work with some of the sections, mainly Maine, Boston, New Hampshire, and Worcester sections, to create the first IEEE Northeast Industry Day event, which led into the series of several other events later on. But this was a very interesting experience I had with several colleagues here at Region 1. So I call these my IEEE accomplishments. So my message here is that IEEE is global, it's not political, right? So I think IEEE can lead the world by realigning regions across political borders. We used to activities in one town, but today, because of the online collaboration and all that, it's possible to actually cross the borders and talk with different sections. And is it easy? I don't think so. I think there are lots of rules and regulations. We have to follow local guidelines. We need to understand about different cultures, historic, precedents, etc. And again, I would say, is it easy? No. But how do we do this? My philosophy is that if we do things because they are easy, and we are just going to see whatever we have past few years. So we need to do things because they are hard, and we will get reward in this situation. So that's kind of my motivation to run for this position. I don't expect you to read this entire position statement here, so I highlighted the important points here. My focus is going to be on members in industry, academia, government, and NGOs. Why do I spell out all of this? Because it's important to have a balanced focus, and I will strive for that. I think the most important topic I will emphasize in my statement is that our profession is undergoing a significant change right now with cybersecurity and artificial intelligence and online collaborations. I think the jobs are changing. We owe this to our members to retool them, help them to be ready for the jobs of future. Some jobs will go away, some new jobs will be created. So I think IEEE can serve as this sort of professional organization to help our members stay at top of the job. The other thing we can do to help is that there is information overload. Everybody have access to information all over the internet, but are they accurate information? I don't think so. So I think IEEE can play a role in curating accurate information, as we have been doing for many years, by peer-reviewed papers, peer-reviewed presentation, and make a global impact. So I'm really honored and delighted to be given this opportunity. If I get elected as your director, I will strive to make global impact while keeping local activities relevant to the local industry. So we have this local mission, but we also have a global mission. So we have to kind of balance this. I have a balanced career in industry and academia. I have 2 startup companies outside of the university. So I have been keeping one leg in industry and one leg in academia, regional and technical capacity. So I believe with this experience, I can help and move IEEE forward. So focus on members, information overflow, future job, and global impact. So I put the election link on the top and my personal Facebook page here at the bottom. And I greatly appreciate your vote. And I put 2 check marks here because no matter who you vote for, I think both of us, both Bala and myself, will bring different qualities to the picture. And again, I'm thinking maybe I would vote for Bala. I don't know. So thanks very much for your indulgence.
All right. Thank you. Both of you stayed on time. That's very admirable. So so now we'll open it up for questions, and I guess I'll start with one. And I asked that that those of you watching remotely if you could place your questions in chat. It's probably easier if I moderate and Ed and I moderate and ask the questions directly rather than having all of us yelling and screaming at the candidates for their time. So if you can put your questions in chat, I'll be sure to ask them in the Q&A period. So I guess I'll start. So here's my question. So as the Region 1 director, I'll have the ability to fund special projects. And as the director-elect, what project do you want to run? Tell me how I should spend my money. What would you do for the region? What would your first personal project be for the region? Who wants to start?
I can start. There are various things that we can do when trying to be diligent and prudent with IEEE money that we get as revenue, which is basically the source of money is the assessment money or the rebate money, which is basically contributed by the members of IEEE. So we need to turn it back and find anything that is meaningful, that can be a mature project, or it could be a beginning green project. So any of those things. So certainly there will be some amount of scrutiny. There will be discussions about it, but we'll also be generous in funding these projects, primarily because we can afford to do it, we have to do it, and we can do it. So we just need to get together and make these things happen. So there could be the women in engineering kind of things, or the YP kind of things, or even the technical projects that we have seen, or the PACE kind of projects, soft skills development kind of things. So there are so many different things that we can do, that we can, it's just the opportunity that we have is tremendous, and certainly we can make all of our resources useful to serve that.
Okay.
And I will add to that. I agree with everything Paul said. And what I would focus on, I mean, if I was given the opportunity, to run a special project, is that I think we owe to our members in Region 1 to make sure that they have good paying jobs if they are going to get trained with the new and emerging technologies like AI, cybersecurity, or other emerging technologies. I think we can provide this training. We have enough resources here in industry and academia. We need to make sure that our members remain on the forefront of technology, as is the IEEE's promise. So I will try to connect industry and the region a little bit more extensively. I will try to go to larger employers like, I don't know, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, or some other large employers, and say, what are the new tools that you want your employees to have, and then try to provide those training and services to our members. So similar to what I mentioned also in my statement.
Awesome. All right, I have a lot of questions coming in. So I think this was another one that I had, so I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. As everyone knows, online, the membership of IEEE of regular members and higher grade members has been declining for quite some time. And so the question is membership growth is critical to IEEE's future. Briefly, what is your plan to increase Region 1's and IEEE's global membership? All right, so this one we'll start with Ali.
So I will go first now. So in my opinion, membership development has to be personal and local. I don't think spamming people with like flyers and emails and things like that is going to bring us members. What we have tried in the main section, because we are a small section and we can do that, every year when we get the list of members who have not renewed, we divide it among ourselves. We pick up the phone and call them. If we know them personally, we go take a visit and say, why didn't you renew? So once you realize what values they are not receiving and try to help bring those values back in, you will get members back. Another program is that we open our programs to non-members. So you can bring your friends or colleagues and make them aware of IEEE values. So I would think we need to focus as the region to enable or empower our local sections to do things like that, give them resources they want to make this personal and just talk to our members. I think that's the way to make a big impact in the entire IEEE industry.
Certainly, I agree with what Ali is saying. It is unfortunately, it is not an easy task in Region 1 or in United States in general, as we have seen in the past about 10 to 12 years with the declining membership. But then again, we cannot give up on this also. Certainly, there are good programs, there are good innovative programs like subsidizing, talking to the industry for corporate membership and so on and so forth. So we need to continue to stay vigilant on those things at the higher or at the global level. At the region level, down to sections or chapters, we need to focus on how we deliver consistent and constant value to the membership, whether it is networking or whether it is membership benefits in terms of making technical content available to them, or them becoming a volunteer and increasing their own skill level and so on. So those are all the things that we can continue to sell. So it may be a hard sell, but I think we need to continue to strive on that, and we need to invest in programs and activities to do that. Yes, there are certain things that we cannot do as Region 1, but there are also many things that we can do, we cannot lose sight of.
Very good. So I'm going to interleave the questions a little bit. So this one I'm not going to say who it is, but I bet you can figure it out. So can each of you make the time commitments of this job, which is very large? And that wasn't my question. That wasn't my question.
That was mine.
Yeah. Can I go ahead?
Yes, you would be first. I'm sorry, I should have said that. Thank you for clarifying.
I think, if I look back at my life, I have been blessed for the longest time. That's primarily because, I have had the advantage of standing on the shoulders of people who preceded me. And with that, I have been able to see farther and wider. And that's a privilege, and that's also a responsibility, and I take that seriously. So with that, I have this thirst or zeal or curiosity, whatever you want to call, that I have developed over years. And that is one thing. The second thing is, I am retired. So I had my handful of experience, both in corporate and teaching, as you heard. So I am retired, and so I can afford all my time working for the interest of Region 1. I have seen up close what a region director does, whether he is or she is tackling internal issues, internal problems, or participating in IEEE USA board, or other things that go beyond the board meetings. So, like any of you guys, Charles or Ed or Pete or anybody would say, I think it's almost a daily kind of involvement that you need to respond right away. You need to participate. You need to compromise. You need to do so many different things. I believe, I can do all that. I have the time, the patience, the wherewithal, and overall a zeal to do that. So yes, I am in short the answer to your question. Thank you for the question, though.
And my answer to this question is yes. And right now I almost spend half of my time for different IEEE activities. So I probably have to cut back on my local activities, but I will definitely have enough time for this job. So
there are certainly a lot of hidden time commitments that pop up at you when you least think they're going to hit you, and I think that's one thing I've learned over the last 2 years that I didn't recognize when I first applied for this job. So I appreciate that question far more than now than I did 2 years ago. All right, so here's another one from the audience. Are you guys ready? So how would Region 1 participate in terms of making an impact in 2 areas? The first area being the autonomous vehicle, and the second area being energy efficiency, solar and alternatives. So Bala, you're first on this one.
Certainly, these are new up-and-coming technologies that are creating jobs that are relevant, that are timely, and so on. And we would, at the section level and at the region level, we would either partner or have stakes with the conferences beyond our scope. So that way, we would either invest, either as a technical investment or financial investment or any of those things. That is at one level. At the other level, I think the question is coming from my friend Raghunandan. As he knows and as we know at Jersey Coast section, and of course that's true of many other sections also, but I am aware of Jersey Coast section. So we have some expertise here locally with autonomous vehicles. And we also had some distinguished lecturers who had come to the section and so on. So that way, there was a lot of information that came out, technical information out of that. Now with the COVID and so on, what we have learned is, as Alia has demonstrated, right? So instead of having 20, 25, 30 participants, right? So now we can open it up and share it with all the Region 1 members. So that is one thing that we have strived to do during the COVID pandemic period. That is basically create a school, if you can say that, or a center of excellence or something of that sort. So we'll continue to invest in that. We'll continue to manage in that systematically to make sure that we scout for these upcoming technologies. Okay, invest in those conferences. Again, make sure we have encourage sections and so on for the distinguished lecturers or their local talent to come and speak, and then share the same information with others in the Region 1. I hope I have answered your question, Raghu, but that's what comes to my mind at this point.
So I agree with what Bala mentioned, and what I would add is that I think we need to think about today, and we need to think about future. What I would do for today is to try to create more short courses and training and webinars for our working professional in that area. As Bala mentioned, creating conferences, things like that. But create a student contest in autonomous vehicles or a student contest in energy efficiency to try to bring students in board on areas, try to encourage academic institutions to create new courses in this area. And I think IEEE can play a role. And if it's at the individual level, every member who has expertise in these areas can certainly join the IEEE standards committees. There are multiple standards activities going on, and we can also contribute at the individual level there too.
Okay, very good. I have one more question, and if anyone else has questions, please put them in the chat window. So as the Region 1 Director, what would you do to inspire the pre-university youth and the students of the sections within Region 1?
I guess I go first on this one. This is an easy question. I actually have had several funded proposals from National Science Foundation on engaging pre-university students in STEM activities. So I will do exact same thing as I did in one of our NSF projects. We call it a SMART project, that we engage students in high school and middle school with IEEE tools, IEEE related technologies, sensors, or wireless radios, things that excites them in this area. We have done this in Maine. My colleague who was a collaborator on this project with me and one of the teachers in this area, they actually received an IEEE USA award for this. And my dream is that if we can expand that model to the entire region with the help from the pre-university groups here and try to just replicate that model. So that's my answer.
For myself, I have watched with fascination and curiosity over the last several years, especially in two programs. One program is within Jersey Coast section. So we had one, may I say, high adrenaline volunteer who was really very thorough, very active with the STEM kind of activities, working with high school students. Okay, obviously they were going to college, but high school seniors, juniors, and so on. But she had engaged a couple of schools in our area, and sometimes I think it expanded to several more schools beyond our own section. So that was not easy to run. But then again, what it picked up, the interest, and the path for these students and so on was very gratifying. That's one program. The other program is what our own friend Soon Wan is doing with his Lego sets or with his robotics kind of program. So these are kind of the seeds that we have. We can continue to explore what other people have done. We can solicit new ideas and see how we can fund them, how we can encourage them. That's again is very critical, those STEM projects or the pre-university kind of activities. So that's something we need to be mindful of, that we can do, and it needs to be done. And we are already doing it in some capacity, but we need to do more of it.
Great. Any further questions from the audience? I see you leaning forward, Ed. Are you thinking? He's frozen in time. I don't know whether to wait or not. Okay, so I would like to thank both candidates for a really good. Oh wait, I've got one more question. All right, one more question, and then we'll call it quits. What services to provide to members to help them succeed in their career? What types of services would you like to provide to help them succeed in their career? I think we talked about that a little bit, so maybe just a short, quick answer.
What services? I think there are several things that are either there or we can continue to create, both at the region level and also at the IEEE USA level, and now at the IEEE level. So there are many soft skills or the career management skills, or how to keep your job secure. So those kind of things. So there are many programs. So, and again, it is there. It is also happening. We can continue to advertise those things. I don't know if we can. Obviously, people don't like to be spammed with mail messages and so on. but we have a beautiful website now, right? And we have links to these programs, so we can continue to lead people, to make use of that. And also, I think, how we can integrate what we have at the MGA or the IEEE level or at the IEEE USA level, if that needs some cleaning up or some whatever we need to do, we can do those things. But the fact of the matter is, I think, that is one of the very big things that IEEE at different levels is very mindful of. I think we have talked about it in several different ways in the last about half an hour, 45 minutes. People, the landscape is changing. The jobs of today may not exist tomorrow. So what stays permanent, right? So what stays permanent, we talked about some of the attributes and so on. So all these things, I think, we can continue to be diligent about these things, and we can take input from people, who are looking for those services, like, what would you like us to do? I don't know. So we have certain things, and we'll continue to invent new things to deliver those services.
So what I will add to this briefly is that I think members have different needs at different stages of their life. So if you ask a student what services you like to succeed, the answer would be different than if you ask a working professional in the earlier stages of work, like a YP, or if you ask somebody who is closer to retirement, etc. So I think we need to be cognizant of that, create an array of different services for different stages of life for different people. And in fact, I think when Ed was elected as director, he put a group of us together and we created these sort of life cycle of different members, right, coming to the retirement. So these things have been already kind of fleshed out at the region level. If I get elected, I will definitely get back to those work that has been done and try to implement those and try to flesh those out. So
super. I think at this point I'm going to let the two of the candidates off the hook. I will just say that I am distressed by the two candidates, meaning that no matter who wins this election, it's going to stress me out in filling their roles and their shoes within the region. Both have been very good colleagues within the region and fill big voids that will become voids again should they be elected. And so I'm almost dreading that time point. But I know the region will be in good hands regardless of who wins this election. Both candidates are really wonderful candidates. I'd also like to thank everybody here that has joined us tonight and has stayed around to ask some questions of the candidates. I want to remind you to vote. After all, that is what it's all about. So if you can take the time even right now to go to the website and vote, that is what we would like you to do. And so with that, I would like to end the meeting. I will ask you to tell your colleagues about what you heard. We will be sending out an email to let them know that the recording of this meeting will be available for all members to watch as the election proceeds. Ed, would you like to add any final comments? Oh, I don't have the link for voting. I knew that was going to be asked. Sorry. Ed, you're on mute.
Let me unmute myself. Let me add that I have been extremely privileged to work with these people, including Greg. They have been essential, necessary, and important within the region in many aspects. They have led many things. They have solved many problems. We're going to be in good shape. I will tell you this, though. Don't ever feel bad that you're losing a great person, because it gives us the opportunity to create another great one, right? So if Bala goes, we'll find a great, we'll find and develop a great treasurer. And if Ali wins, we'll find someone to lead, and it allows us to keep bringing new people into the organization, which I really believe is key in the future, you can't constantly be looking at people like me, for God's sakes, in different roles. And so for us, I think we're in great shape. I am looking forward to helping Greg, and his things. I think he's going to be tremendous for us. He's matured really well. I'm looking forward to seeing which of the two win, and I get to get on the committee next year to lead the committee that looks for the next set of directors. Right, in my mind, it's part of my job is to search and eventually bring up to the organization the next set of candidates. And we lead well in Region 1 in many aspects. We voice well in all the various committees. We take leadership roles within IEEE and MGA and IEEE USA. I expect Greg to do exactly that, and I expect you guys to do exactly that. I'm very proud of the team we have and the folks we're bringing forward. So thank you all. Vote. Thank you guys for running, for willing to do this. We look good. And, for the next 4 years, no matter what happens, we're going to look really well. And so I'm hoping everybody gets the word out. I'm hoping everybody votes. I'm hoping that our candidates, and I look forward to helping them going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, Bala. Thank you, Ali. And we'll see everyone in October. Go vote. Take care. The meeting is now over.
Thank you and good night.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Everyone.